In today's video, I'm going to be playing 100 days of hardcore Minecraft in Bedrock Edition. So join me on my hardcore experience. I created the world, looking around as it is now day 0, which is actually a thing on Bedrock. Like every usual person, I began by punching down some trees to gather some wood and made a pickaxe, eventually finding some sheep killed for their wool and food. I decided to build a base at a stony shore and crafted up some stone tools. I then started construction on my house, which was partially made out of dirt to begin with, but by the time it turned night, I'd made myself a bed and went to sleep. On day 1, I killed a creeper that was outside of my house and gathered the coal that was also outside of my house. I then chopped down some trees around the house so mobs wouldn't spawn nearby, and then also so I could finish off building my house, which was partially still dirt. Then I went to go get some sand to make some windows so I could put that into the house. Then replace the dirt floor with some birch instead to make it look a little bit nicer. Day 2 started by just chopping down some trees so we could work on a second floor of the house that I had just begun construction on, which was very cool, very epic. At the beginning of day 3, while chopping down trees, I found a cave, went into it, and then blocked off parts of it, and then almost died to a skeleton. I got down to about 4 hearts, which is just not very fun. And then lastly, I went around the nearby area on a boat, just exploring, grabbed a bit of coal and like 1 iron, which is okay, I guess. Day 4, I decided to actually go deep into the cave and ended up leaving with 11 iron, which is pretty decent. It's not the worst, could have been better. And I also started making a stone wall around my base, which is definitely not inspired by any other hardcore YouTuber. Anyways, day 5, I finally crafted up some iron tools and also decided to make some chests for storage because my inventory was becoming very full. And then the rest of the day I literally just worked on building the stone wall around my base so nothing could get in. But then again, just as the day was about to end, I did get snuck up on by a creeper, but just got in my house before he could get to me. Day 6 was just a bit more construction on my second floor of the base. Then when I went outside, I had to kill the creeper that was still there, obviously. I then went down into that cave again for more iron because I was still lacking some armor, which I really needed. And just before it turned night, I decided to build a little bit more of the wall. Day 7 started off by crafting up some iron armor to protect myself. Then I decided to go back into the cave and explore the deep slate part that I had not been into yet. And while exploring the cave, I also found my first diamonds. Day 8, I made a farm so I wouldn't starve to death, which can happen in hardcore mode. But when making the farm, I realised my whole land was not fully dirt, so it's kind of annoying, and it wasn't on the same level. So I fixed that, changed it all to dirt, and then raised up the walls so they would be on the same level as my ground. Then, for the rest of the night, I decided to go caving until it was day 9. Day 9, I made my way out of the cave, and once I got back to my base, I crafted up a diamond pick. Then I decided to flatten the area inside of my wall where my base is, which I'm now going to be calling the compound. Then what I did last was build some more of the wall. The beginning of day 10 started with some household chores such as fixing up some rough spots inside of the compound and just chopping down some trees so less mobs would be around my compound, and because I needed more wood. Afterwards, I went to go explore, and in my journey I found a spruce village where I went to go to sleep because it was turning to night time. Day 11, I immediately went to go loot any villager's chests so I could get any gear I could find. After that, I headed back to base and almost managed to finish building the wall. So by the time it turned night time, I lit up the wall and everything inside of the compound so no mobs could spawn anymore. For day 12, all I wrote in my notes was I made a bigger and better farm. So basically I got potatoes and carrots into the farm and made the farm stretch out even longer. So yeah, that was all there was for day 12. Day 13, all I did was work on a 3rd floor of the house and started construction for a roof, so you know the rain wouldn't flood my 3rd floor. Day 14 was just more roof building, and the only reason it took so long is because I had to go mining to get even more cobblestone so I could try finish off the roof, only for me to just run out of cobblestone anyway. Day 15, I finally finished off the roof, and I also finished building the wall around my base, which is amazing. Lastly, throughout the night, I flattened out more of the area inside of the compound, and I also filled in one of the holes that was at the corner until it was day 16. Day 16, I decided to create some animal pens, placing sheep, chickens, and a singular cow in the pens. Afterwards, I created a path from my house to the farm and the animal pens. Lastly, I placed gates around the wall so you can get in and out of the compound a lot easier. Day 17, I took my boat and swam down the river back to the spruce village so I could steal a villager. And I brought him back to my base so I could trade with him right at my house. All I did on day 18 was build a small little house for the villager to live in. Day 19, I headed back to that spruce village to get another villager. I would bring him back to my base. Afterwards, I made one of the villagers a farmer and traded with him so I could get some bread so I wouldn't starve to death. Lastly, I finished up building the walls of the villager house. Day 20, the first thing I did was head over to the nearby dark oak forest so I could get some dark oak wood for the villager house. After destroying a dark oak tree, I found a cow and decided to bring it back home. But while I was heading back across the ocean to get back to my house, I found a drowned with a trident, which I killed, and I actually got the trident from him, but in Bedrock it is a bit higher chance to get it. Once getting back, I was finally able to breed my cows, and I managed to add the dark oak doors to the villager house. Plus, I added some fences so the villagers actually couldn't leave. On day 21, the only eventful thing that happened was finding diamonds and finding a brand new cool Discord server. That's right, I'm plugging my Discord server again, the Soul Discord, where you can suggest me video ideas and we can have chats, and it's very fun. Please join. Day 22, I made my way out of the cave and decided to begin working on the villager house's roof, where I used dark oak stairs to make it. But I actually ran out quite quickly, so I had to go back to the dark oak forest and get even more wood. Day 23, I managed to finish making the villager roof quite quickly actually, since we'd already gathered up all the resources needed to make it. So I also decided to make a sugarcane farm beside all the rest of my food farms, which was really nice. To finish off the day, I moved my bed up to the second floor and made it a double bed. On day 24, I woke up, looked at my bed and decided it wasn't good enough, so I went out, hunted for some flowers so I can make light blue dye to change the way the beds looked, and even got a third bed to turn my bedroom into a triple bed, along with adding some light blue carpet below where the beds were. Also, I traded with my villagers so I could start working towards making diamond armor and just trading emeralds to the villagers. Day 25, I traded with villagers so I could unlock diamond armor, which I actually managed to do. Then I decided to make armor stands so I could make an armor collection display. And lastly, I just did some chopping down of trees. This is all day 26 is, just a black screen. I don't know what happened to the rest of the footage, but we're just going to have to move on. Day 27 was me going around the world just looking for some coal because I needed it for trading to get even more diamond armor, and yeah, that's what I did on day 27. Day 28 was really just trading with villagers and breeding them so I could get even more villagers. But at the end of the day, I did farm all of my crops that were fully grown. On day 29, I went mining mainly so I could get iron for trading, and by the end of the day, I ended up with 16 diamonds, over 30 iron, and over 30 gold. And some other materials, which is really good. Most of day 30 was just making my way back home after going into that cave that was actually really far away from my base. But once I made it back, I made some diamond gear, and also it's time to introduce you to this little chicken. And the top comment of this video gets to name him. Day 31, I began by chopping down lots of trees so I could turn them into sticks to make loads of emeralds so I could finally buy that diamond armor. And by the end of the day, sure enough, I was able to buy basically everything. I still need the diamond helmet, but don't worry, I'll get that soon. If I'm being honest, the only fun thing that happened on day 32 was breeding all of my animals. Day 33, I finally got the diamond helmet, which is the last piece of diamond armor that I needed. And to make my day even better, I got a mending and unbreaking free villager for very cheap prices, I might add as well. So day 33 is probably one of my best days I've had so far. All of day 34 was just failing to get any good enchantments from our good old villager buddy. Day 35, I finally started wearing my diamond armor. I have no idea why it took me this long, but on my way to start exploration, I found a skeleton horse, which immediately turned into a skeleton army. But luckily, I killed all the skeletons and managed to get myself a skeleton horse. Afterwards, I actually went out to explore, this time finding a dog and taming it. And I also came across another spruce village, in which I slept in one of the villagers' houses for the night. On day 36, while at the village, I found a lava pool, so I decided to mine up some obsidian while there, so I could make a Nether portal and an enchanting table. Once getting back home, I made a fully maxed out enchanting table, meaning I could get level 30 enchants. Day 37, I used my maxed out enchant table to enchant my pickaxe, axe, and chestplate. And by the end of the day, I also got an efficiency 4 villager. Day 38 can be described in 2 words: chopping trees. The beginning of day 39 was quite sad, as I had to kill about half of the cows that I had in my pen. But on the good news, I did get 2 efficiency 4 books to put on my axe and pickaxe, which is very good. And you already guessed it, the rest of the day was spent chopping down trees so I could get more emeralds. Day 40 started with removing part of this dirt mound. I was kind of blocking my sunset view, and also I needed some dirt so I could start covering up the hole where my cave is, because I want to make a proper entrance. Then I managed to get more enchant books, which resulted in me getting a maxed out diamond pickaxe, apart from fortune 3, which I still need to get. But afterwards I went back to destroying more of the dirt mounds, finished up with covering over the entire cave entrance. Afterwards I started making a cobblestone stair deep into my mine. All of day 41 was just spent building up this cool cobblestone staircase, which I actually really liked because it kind of winded round and round, and it didn't always go just straight down. It did pause at some point, and eventually it just kind of crumbled off once you got deep enough into the cave. So I think it was a very cool build. Day 42, I began construction on my basement. Now this is where I was going to eventually end up putting my brewery stands and stuff, and potential storage, and also my Nether portal. So this was very important. So first of all, I started digging out the entire area, which is quite big, and then I began lacing the floor with polished diorite, and I made the walls out of deep slate bricks. Day 43 was me going back into the mines to gather up more deep slate so I could finish off the deep slate brick walls. And also, I grabbed a bit of andesite so I could make the ceiling out of polished andesite. And to finish off the day, I finally placed in my portal in the basement. On day 44, I began gathering resources for this gold farm / XP farm. Now this thing is really overpowered, but it does require quite a lot of resources. So I immediately ran off to a nearby cave I know about, so I could get lots of iron and a bit of coal to smelt said iron. Because one of the requirements for the farm is you need like 20 hoppers, so we're going to need about 2 stacks of iron, which is kind of insane. And at the end of the day, I also found a lava pool, so I began gathering obsidian, because we need 128 to make the giant portals for said gold farm. All of day 45 was just spent gathering up obsidian. Just keep in mind, even though I have an efficiency 5 pickaxe, it still takes about 10 seconds to mine. And if you need 128 of them, that really starts to add up. But before it became the next day, I made it back home safely. Day 46, the new Minecraft update had just came out, and I wanted to find the new Pale Garden biome. Luckily, in amongst my entire dark oak biome, there actually was one. So I headed over there, grabbed some of the leaves, the woods, the vines, even some of the flowers. But while checking out the place, I also noticed there was a jungle nearby. So I went over and found a jungle temple. Inside was some okay loot, but it was still very cool to see. And once it turned nighttime, I got to see what the new creaking mob was like. And it was actually pretty cool. But I did almost die, so I headed back home for the day. Beginning of day 47, I checked out the new resin ore, which is quite useless right now, as it's not really used in any crafting recipes. Also, on the way to find a good cave, I found a pink sheep, which is actually still rare in Bedrock, so it was really cool to see one. And obviously, for the rest of the day, I went mining for more iron, so I could complete the gold farm. Day 48 was a resource gathering day, so I could try get every resource I needed for the gold farm. But halfway through the day, I did need to go to the Nether so I could get some quartz for observers and stuff. But luckily, everything went well. And at the end of the day, I got to farm all of my crops. Day 49 was the final day of gathering up all the resources needed to build the gold farm. All I really had to do was go mine a bit more iron and redstone and just craft up a few extra things, but that was mainly us ready to go. Most of day 50 was going around my chest and double checking that I had all the resources to build the gold farm. And this is all the resources you need for the farm up on screen now. So I started to begin construction on the farm, only managing to make a little bit of progress before it turned night. Day 51, I kept building the gold farm, starting off by building up a 23 by 23 Nether portal, which is the largest you can make it. This is needed so you can spawn zombified piglins and they'll teleport through the portal and funnel down and get killed so we can get gold and XP. After creating the portal, I made a funnel system, so when the zombified piglins spawned in, they would fall into the funnel and get drifted down to get killed. Day 52 was spent on building up the killing chamber for the gold farm. This is so after the zombified piglins fell down the funnel, they would hit down into a piston mechanism that was pushing a trident, so then they would get killed. Day 53, I began placing down the redstone wiring for the gold farm, which did take majority of the day, but once it turned to nighttime, I realised the redstone wiring was actually one block too low, so I had to break everything. Day 54, I rebuilt all of the redstone wiring, this time making sure it was actually on the right height, and before the end of the day, I managed to make the portal breaking machine, so when the portal relit, I had water that would dispense in and out, which would constantly break the portal, which for some reason makes zombified piglins spawn more. I'm not entirely sure how it works. At the beginning of day 55, I made this box holding lava, which constantly keeps lighting up the portal, which keeps getting broken by the water afterwards, which makes zombified piglins spawn really quickly. Next, I made the storage system so we could get ourselves gold bars, gold nuggets, and rotten flesh for villager trades. And I used the auto crafter so we could condense the gold nuggets into gold ingots. And the rest of the gold swords and stuff just got dispensed into the lava. And by the end of the day, I had the gold/XP farm working very well. All of day 56 was just spent AFKing at the gold farm so we could get some golden apples and over level 30. Day 57 started off with me fixing the auto crafter at the gold farm because for some reason it wasn't working properly. But after getting that fixed, I went to go enchant some of my things now that I was over level 30, and I managed to get protection 3 on my helmet. Combining that with a protection 3 book I got earlier, and I got a protection 4 diamond helmet. On day 58, since I got so many levels from the gold farm, I managed to get prot 3 on my leggings, feather falling 4 on my boots, but I did also get fire protection, which is quite sad, and I even got fire aspect 2 on my sword. Also, just before the day ended, I bought 3 mending books and put on all of my diamond armor, except for my boots. Day 59, I kind of felt bad for the villagers because it was getting a bit cramped inside of their house, so what I decided to do was make a basement floor, so I could put even more villagers in there and get even better trades. And I actually used some of the new pale oak wood as well to build the flooring. Day 60 started off with us getting a sharp 5 villager, which is amazing. It's really good to have. Then the rest of the day was gathering a bunch of deep slates so I could turn into polished deep slates so I could finish off the walls of the villager's basement floor. Lastly, I added in some beds to make that basement floor very cozy. All of day 61 was spent trying to get good trades with the villager. And by the end of the day, I ended up getting a prot 4 enchant book. On day 62, got a villager to give me protection 4 again, but for cheaper emeralds. So the villager with the expensive one ended up dying today. Then another villager gave me feather falling 3, which is really good because I want to re-enchant my boots because they have fire protection and that's completely useless. But to get these enchants, I'm going to need lots of emeralds, so I got a full double chest full of sticks to sell to make emeralds. This is literally all I did on day 63. At the beginning of day 64, I re-enchanted my boots to get protection 4, unbreaking 3 and feather falling 4 just from a single enchant. Then, enchanting my leggings, I got protection 4 and thorns 2 because I decided to redo the enchanting because I didn't really like what I had on it. Lastly, I used my protection 4 book to get put on my chest plate so that I'd have protection 4 armor. And at the end of the day, I placed down a sapling and called it the Eternal Tree. So, as long as I was alive, that tree would be alive. On day 65, I traded with the villagers to get a Sharpness 5 book and a Mending book. Then I went over to my anvil and put the Sharpness 5 book on my diamond sword and the Mending book on my books. Afterwards, I got everything I needed and went into my Nether portal. I began exploring the Nether, and as I did, I built a bridge across it to stop anything from attacking me. On day 66, after digging around for a while, I finally found a Nether fortress. I was very careful entering the place and even started digging in a 1x1 area which is going in crawl mode, so literally nothing could attack me. Afterwards, I set up a little base inside of the fortress to keep me safe. Then I went exploring and managed to find me some nether wart, which is needed to make potions. Lastly, I built an enclosure around the blaze spawner. It would be easy to kill blazes. On day 67, I started killing blazes for blaze rods because I need them to beat the game and so I can start making potions. Then, once I'd gotten around 13 blaze rods, I headed back home and began growing nether wart. Then, I made a brewing stand so I could begin making potions. Next, I had to go get resources like glowstone for making my first set of potions. And by the end of the day, I'd made myself strength 2 potions. On day 68, I began construction on a new project, which was to build a dock that could hold every type of boat in the game. So that means every wood type, everything. But I kind of ran out of my pale oak wood that I was using, so I had to head back over to the pale garden. And once it started turning nighttime, I got out of there because I didn't want to really be dealing with any of those creaking mobs. Then for the rest of the night, I just continued building the dock until it was the next day. Day 69, I finished building the dock. Also, the reason I haven't been sleeping for the past few days is because I'm trying to kill a phantom, which only spawns if you don't sleep for a few days. The reason I'm doing this is so I can get a phantom membrane, which you can use to make slow falling potions. This is so I can complete one of my goals, which is to kill the ender dragon by the end of the 100 days. And sure enough, in the middle of the night, I managed to kill a phantom and get a phantom membrane. On day 70, I added every boat I could to the dock. Afterwards, I brewed up more strength 2 potions and slow falling potions for the ender dragon fight. Day 71 was just more preparing for the end fight, such as getting fortune free on my diamond pickaxe and brewing up even more potions. Day 72 was mainly just a mining day, so I could just get more resources and be even more prepared. And in case you're wondering, this is how many potions I have now. If I'm being honest, day 73 and 74 are just me grinding and are extremely boring to watch. So here's like 100x speed of them, just so you can quickly see. And if you want to watch the whole thing, you can slow it down. But anyways, let's get on to something more interesting. Day 75, I head into the Nether again, but this time to look for a warped forest, which is where Endermen like to spawn. So if we kill them, we can get Ender Pearls, so we can make Eyes of Ender to go to the stronghold and kill that little dragon. After quite a while of searching, I finally found a warped forest, and I killed lots of Endermen until I had 14 Ender Pearls. Just on my way out, I found a bastion and took the loot from the chest. All of day 76 was just making my way back from the Nether, so there wasn't really much to do on that day. I wish I was joking, but on day 77, all I did was try and get a good trade with a villager, and I did get looting free at the end of the day, but I really don't think it was worth it. Day 78, I grab all my gear as I'm bringing it to the end fight. I throw the first Eye of Ender and begin the journey towards the stronghold. And while I'm walking 1,000 blocks, if you haven't subscribed yet, it would help out a ton. I've spent over 2 months making this video, so it would really mean a lot to me. Once I finally located the stronghold, I went inside and eventually found the portal room. I put in all the Eyes of Ender and jumped in. Once making it into the end, I made my way up and shot one of the towers. But then I realised that I'm really good at Minecraft, so I just started killing the ender dragon without breaking the rest of the crystals. And sure enough, the dragon was defeated and I had won. Then I made my way up to the gateway portal and crawled through it, taking me to the outer islands. I found an end city and began killing the shulkers and looting the chests inside. As I was throwing an ender pearl to cross a gap, something happened. Now I know it's quite a sad ending, but sometimes we don't always win.